Welcome to another episode of Bargain Saturdays, and this week I'm taking a look at Ghost Ship. And no, I haven't had that much time to really put together a review script for this movie. I kept getting distracted by various Let's Plays I've been working on and video game reviews. There's a few review scripts I have to really spend time writing tonight, and yeah, there goes a train going by the house right now. Oh well, we can just leave it in, right? It's not like I really care about this movie. In fact, Ghost Ship is an interesting movie only in that it doesn't seem anyone can agree on when it came out. I have three different dates. You have a different date on the Internet Movie Database, you have a different date on Rotten Tomatoes, and I have a copyright claimer in this box that has a different year on it as well. So apparently, when this movie came out is unknown because I have 1993, a 1992, and a 1997 date if I remember correctly. So yes, we have three different years for the same movie. So when it officially came out, I have no idea. And quite frankly, I don't care. Ghost Ship is basically a watered-down version of The Goonies, but it's not as good. Mostly because it has too many subplots going on at once. It has two romantic subplots going on. You have two different competing adventurer groups trying to get to the treasure first. One an archaeologist that will basically betray and stab everyone else in the back in order to get the pearls, all the money, and the fame for discovering a Spanish galleon in the middle of nowhere. Because, quite frankly, it's a ghost ship that's been lost in the desert. And it got lost in the desert because it got picked up by a hurricane, pushed up a river, and then dropped off in the middle of the desert. Of course, that doesn't make much sense. I'm sure someone could tell me there's no way a ship could have gotten pushed that far up a river, even because of a hurricane and the upsurge going on, especially if it's like dozens upon dozens of miles inland. I think they say there's a marina that was about a 3 or 4 day hike from the ship. But even then, I'd still say it doesn't make much sense, considering the marina would probably be on an inland lake or something. I can't remember what state they said the boat was in, but considering it was the desert, we're going to have to assume in the middle of the Southwest somewhere. I want to say Nevada for some reason, but if it got pushed that far inland, you'd have to really cry shenanigans, wouldn't you? I think it was. Honestly, I don't care. It sounds dumb, no matter. It just sounds like a terrible idea for a plot. It seems like it would have been a better idea to place this movie on the coast somewhere with the pirate treasure buried in a cave, basically blatantly ripping off Goonies' idea. Because quite frankly, having a ship buried out in the middle of the desert, covered up in sand dunes, and yet somehow being an accessible cavern into the accessible cavern that just surrounds the ship is just really dumb. I guess you can say it was mined out, but at the same time, it still doesn't make much sense considering it looks like the sand's hardened into a sandstone cave wall around it. As far as the romantic subplots go, they're poorly thought out. The one with the teacher and soon-to-be teacher is probably the best, mainly because they feel a bit more natural. And they at least come across as knowing each other, so it's more believable that a romance could be developing there. But the one between the high school students is just terribly written. The male character basically comes off as way too strong, way too quickly, basically asking the female character to let him kiss her, saying, "You don't have to kiss me back, just let me kiss you." It's just strange. She even talks to the female soon-to-be teacher who's meant to be helping chaperone the trip, and she basically says, "Well, you should go out with him. He's a nice boy." And it's like, what are you talking about? He's basically saying, "Just let me sexually assault you" several clips ago, so why on earth are you calling him a nice boy? Not to mention, it just feeds into my other issue with this movie. The female characters are almost all written around the male characters. Every time the female characters get together, it's always talking about the male characters in order to push a romantic subplot. And quite frankly, the movie didn't need two of them, especially since the high school one doesn't have much attention paid to it. And all of a sudden, they're just going out because, well, the teacher thought it was a good idea. Well, soon-to-be teacher, obviously, but it's like, no. No movie, you don't get to just do that. the two adventurers trying to get to the treasure isn't well thought out either, considering they both have access to the same map. And I don't honestly understand why this ghost ship's remained hidden for so long if there's a map to its exact location just sitting in a library or museum. You think someone would have found it by now, or are they just assuming it's a fake map? And if it's a fake map, why on earth would they be keeping it at a museum? Why wouldn't they just destroy it or toss it in the garbage? I can't understand the idea of keeping around a treasure map if you don't think the treasure's real. Is it just a very well drawn map or something? Or maybe it's a map of the area and it just gives you vague hints to where the treasure's at? I don't know. I would just say it doesn't make much sense why the treasure map's in the museum, especially considering the one character that's trying to find it is basically saying he's trying to find it to restore his family's honor because his grandpa was considered a disgrace for saying he found this ship out in the middle of the desert, which sounds ridiculous every time I say it. And I just don't get it. Like, where did this map come from? And if it leads to the treasure, why wouldn't you have kept it in your family and one of you gone out to go find the ghost ship if you have a freaking map to it? Why would you even need help from an archaeologist if you have a map? And the only reason the archaeologist is there is so you can betray everyone and say, I'm doing this because I want all the fame and glory within scientific circles for discovering a ghost ship, a Spanish galleon buried out in the middle of the desert, underneath a sea of sand. It just baffles me why this character has to be there, other than maybe being able to shove in a damsel in distress plot point in the movie. It's just, no. And then there's the fake pirate character, too. And it's just another no. It's like, we don't need him. Unless he's going to be an actual ghost or something, drop him. Because he didn't need to be there. And then there's something else that didn't make sense. They had a character that had found the ghost ship and its pearls, but then apparently he stayed in the cave until he brought it away as a corpse and had the bag with him still, and it was perfectly fine, despite the fact all his clothes had basically wasted away. Movie, are you trying to make no sense? I realize you want to be like the Goonies and be some sort of adventure movie about finding lost pirate booty, but you're not. You're not that kind of good movie. You're not well written. You're a poorly written mess that has too much going on. It really, I'd argue that you could probably have made 2 or 3 movies from all the plot points they had going on in this movie. It might be shorter movies, yes, but they'd be probably better written, more developed if you spent time focusing on them instead of doing a whole bunch of plot points and then doing them poorly. And it shows, because I can't remember any of the characters' names, and I watched this movie less than a week ago. It's like, I can't remember anything about the movie practically outside of that. It just irritates me because it just wasn't very good. My advice, stay away from this movie whenever it came out, because like I said, I have 3 different years for it, assuming I actually mentioned that in this attempted recording, because I've dropped a couple. But with that being said, I don't have anything else to really say about this movie. Just stay away from it, like I said. It's not so bad it's good, it's just bad. Till next time, see ya.